It's the start of a new season, which means there is time for predictions. And of course, the start of the season is actually this weekend. So I've left it as late as possible because, of course, brand new cars, brand new engines in a lot of cases, new drivers, all sorts. So it's actually been very, very hard to tell, especially with these new cars, where everybody sat. So I wanted to get as much data as possible from the two test sessions we've had to be able to make some sort of informed decision. But at the end of the day, this is just a bit of fun so that we can come back to it later in the season and have a laugh. So let's get stuck straight in to me looking silly. In 10th place, I've gone with Williams. That's right, I am predicting Williams to slide back down the order into 10th place. Of course, they came 8th last season, but I do think they will still get points this season. I think the back end of the midfield and the midfield itself is incredibly open, and we saw some good running from Williams at the tests in Spain and Bahrain. However, they were just kind of okay, middle of the road, and I do worry for them because, of course, they still have Nicholas Latifi, who's not the best driver in the world, and Alex Albon coming back from a year out, so we don't know how he's going to do. Plus, do they still have some institutionalized bad behaviors that they need to worry about? So it's going to be interesting to see where they go, and I've put them in 10th as a result. In 9th, I've gone for Alfa Romeo. It's exactly where they finished last season, and I'm predicting it again for this season. I do think they've made big strides forward with their car for what it's worth. When they did manage to get some running done in the Bahrain test, they did look fairly good, fairly quick. That's why I've put them ahead of Williams in particular. But of course, they did also have a lot of mechanical issues, and I mean a lot of mechanical issues, more than anyone else. Plus, they have a rookie driver. We don't know how he's going to get on. So I think, again, they're going to score points. They're just not going to score as many as they probably want, and they're going to finish down in 9th. In 8th place, I'm predicting Haas. Now, this might be a surprise for some people. I've seen a lot of people predicting Haas just rock bottom, last place, not going anywhere. But I'm not going to go there. I'm going to put them in 8th place. And I think it's more about batting for the underdog here. I do think Haas have built a fairly strong car. We saw that in Bahrain, that they were quick. You know, Kevin Magnussen put it on P1, Mick Schumacher put it on P2, various stages in that test. So it can go quickly. We've seen it. They have just had the most rotten luck, though. They've had to deal with the fallout from their main title sponsor, getting rid of one of their drivers during a test, their freight not showing up at the second test, all sorts. So yeah, mad underdog vibes from them right now. And I think their car's decent. When it ran, it was very, very good. Kevin Magnussen getting back into the car, not sure how he's going to do, but he was a steady hand when he was around before. And Mick Schumacher, it's his second year, and we all know that his second year is when he gets going. So looking forward to seeing what they can produce. In 7th place, I've gone for Alpine. And this is more off the raw data we saw from the testing in particular, because this midfield is going to be so tight, incredibly tight. So I had to just kind of go with my gut, what we saw at the test, and the fact that I hate their livery. I won't lie, I am biased against Alpine because I do not like their livery this year. So I've put them down in 7th place. They had a few issues across the two tests, especially in the first one where they weren't able to run DRS, and they were incredibly, incredibly slow. They got a bit quicker in the second test, admittedly, and they put in a bit more mileage, so they did have a better second test than first, but of the midfield teams, I think they were the ones underperforming, which is why they slide back to 7th. In 6th place, I've gone for AlphaTauri, exactly where they finished last season, because that seemed to be what they were showing us in the tests. Both tests, they did the average lap count and they did the average times, it felt like. Nothing really went wrong with their car, which is a good sign. They just kind of banging in the times. We know they can pull something out of the bags pretty special with Pierre Gasly, but ultimately, I think, they're just going to be that consistent midfield runner. and that places them in about 6th. In 5th, I've gone for Aston Martin. They've been another one that's just been steadily getting on with the work. However, I do think they have a few more resources than AlphaTauri. I think their drivers are probably a little bit better than AlphaTauri's as well, which elevates them up above to 5th place. We did also see some really good long runs from Aston Martin over in Bahrain. So if they continue that form into the first race, we could see them do pretty well. In 4th place, I've gone for McLaren, exactly where they finished last season as well. Their car looks extremely fast on its day. We saw that in the first test. They were very, very quick. But in the second test, we also saw that it can have some issues. So we saw brake heating issues, which might be fixed, might not be fixed for the first race in Bahrain. Of course, the season is a long one, so Bahrain will not be the be-all and end-all. So I do predict them finishing 4th in the end, even if they have a bad race in Bahrain. It'll also be interesting to see how Daniel Ricciardo gets on. Obviously, he had a bit of a down year last year, but he is saying that he feels much more comfortable in this car. So could we see them push on and try and challenge those front 3? That'll be a really interesting one to find out. So here we are, the top 3. We're getting stuck into the big boys now. Which ones have I placed where? That's what you're thinking. Well, in 3rd place, I've gone for Mercedes. That's right, I think our reigning Constructors' Championship will slip down to 3rd place. Now, Mercedes had a pretty rotten test, especially in the second one, where they weren't particularly quick and they were suffering with some issues. And Hamilton himself came out and said, hey, we're not going to be challenging for the wins early in the season, so be prepared for that. And while I do think we need to take that with a pinch of salt, obviously they've said this all before and they've had bad tests before and then they've come out and won in the first race. So take it with a pinch of salt. But I do believe that the Ferrari and the Red Bull are actually better cars this time out. Now, obviously, Hamilton can do wondrous things with a seemingly bad car, so perhaps we shouldn't be writing them off too soon. But yeah, I think 3rd place, based on a slow start, which I believe they will get on top of because it's Mercedes. Of course, they're going to plow all the resources they can into fixing whatever issues and getting faster. But Mercedes and who I place in my second team will probably take points off each other, leaving our 1st place team to go on and win, I believe. So that's a great segue into my 2nd place team, who I am picking as Ferrari. Ferrari have had a couple brilliant tests. They've been the most reliable. They have been on par with the fastest. They have a great driver lineup, so they are looking fantastic. But why have I placed them in 2nd place, you're thinking? Well, I think it comes down to not the car, not the drivers, but the team. I don't think they're very experienced about being at the top, fighting for constructor standings. And as we saw when Vettel was challenging as Ferrari driver for the championship, they did make a few mistakes with him. And I fear that they may make a few mistakes with Leclerc and Sainz as well. It'll be an interesting one. I do think it will be close, much closer than we used to, and hopefully much closer on the track as well. After all, that's what these cars are designed to do, right? So I think it'll be a great series of racing coming this season. And that means, number 1, my Constructors' Championship for the 2022 season is, of course, Red Bull. Much like Ferrari, they have just been strong, consistent, no real breakdowns or issues. They've just had 2 fantastic tests. So I'm predicting them to go on and win the championship this year. I think Perez is now in his 2nd season with the team. He's learnt a lot in that first season. We actually saw him develop very quickly toward the second half of the season, becoming a real weapon that Red Bull could use in their fight with Mercedes, whereas he wasn't in the start of the season. I think that will continue through to this season, where he can rear gunner for Verstappen's title charge. I must say that prediction all changed for me on that last day of the Bahrain test. When they whipped out that new chassis and just started banging in quick laps, I was like, oh, okay, my predictions have changed. I was actually going to put Ferrari in 1st place until Red Bull revealed that chassis. And then I realised, it's Adrian Newey we're dealing with. And he knows how to design very good cars. So I think they've got the upper hand for sure. Of course, it will be a massive development race as well as an on-track race. So all of this could change with one massive development that, you know, one of the teams brings in. And to be honest, I'm just super excited to see it happen. Like, I don't care if I get all 10 wrong. This is going to be an amazing season, and I'm looking forward to it so much. What do you guys think of my list? Is there any that you would change around in here? Do you think Red Bull are going to win the championship? Let me know in the comments, let me know on social media, and I'll catch you in the next one.